did this the cowboy fiddle way. Welcome back to another day of cooking at Cowboy Fiddles, a place that you can call home. Now I love the holidays because we get to chow down on some great different types of meals. Now, this is Thanksgiving time, folks, and we're going to be doing our turkeys, we're going to be doing our gravies, we're going to do our mashed taters, everything like that. But one thing I've noticed over the years, it's hard for me to get turkey gizzards. Now I remember growing up as a young man in Montana. It was a small town that I lived in periodically. There wasn't a whole lot to do. So I remember I would go to the bars and I'd shoot pool. And behind it, they always had 3-gallon sized jugs. One was for the spicy sausages. One was for the pickled eggs. Then the other one was the turkey gizzards. And you'd sit up there, you'd order that. What they'd do is they'd hand you a salt shaker and a pepper shaker, and you'd go ahead and chow down. Now obviously back then I could only drink soda pop. I couldn't have it with a cold beverage of my choice. But again, we can only get them turkey gizzards a certain time of the year. Now, because they did come out in the stores here just recently, I loaded up on them because I'm going to do some pressure canning with them because we love turkey gizzards, because I can put them in my soups, I can put them into my gravies, I can do whatever. Now, I picked up, now each of these turkey gizzards are about 2.5 pounds each. And I picked up about 3 of them. I got them on sale, actually, over at our local store. Let me show you what we're going to do with them next. Let's go get this packaging off. Now, it don't look like a whole lot. This is a turkey gizzard. What we're going to do is we're going to be taking all these things, and here's the thing about poultry and things like that. Now, whether it's chicken, whether it's turkey or whatever, back in the day, we always rinsed our meat off. But nowadays, they don't recommend to do that with poultry. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and put it into our pressure canner. Let's go ahead and get this going. Now, the other thing about turkey gizzards, you're going to have a lot of gristle on there. And that can be kind of chewy. I don't mind that as much. But now these are turkey gizzards, and normally they're bigger pieces. And when you farm them yourself, if you go out and take them as you're hunting and stuff, you split them apart. And inside there's going to be a little sack inside that's going to have all kinds of little tiny pebbles, sand or whatever. And you just clean that stuff up. But you know, we bought this at the store. And what we're going to do is we're going to start popping them into our pressure canner, you know, because we're going to want to go ahead and put that on the boil. Oh, and there's a good piece right there. There's a good piece of what I'm talking about. That's what you normally find in a turkey gizzard, but they split it apart. And there's that sack that I was telling you about that you peel out and get it prepared. So let's go ahead and throw these all in there. Now, we've got 3 packs of 2.5 pounds each that we're going to be putting into this pressure canner. And that's going to give us several quart-sized jugs of meat that we're going to be eating for the next few months. Well, we got all of our turkey gizzards in the crock pot. What we're going to do now, I've got my onions. I already chopped them up. And if you'll notice, they're not tiny petite things. I chopped them up bigger. What we're going to do is we're going to add these in here as well, because that's going to get some flavoring. And then we only got one more thing that we got to add in. Let's just go ahead and dump that all in there. Now, We got to have our chicken broth. We got to have a little bit of fluid in there. We got all our gizzards in there, about all 7.5 pounds. We've got a couple of medium-sized onions we put in there as well. Now we got to go ahead and put in some chicken broth. Now these are 48-ounce size. We're going to dump this in here. There we go, got that one done. Now, we don't actually need to use all of this because there's only going to be so much space for this juice, but what we want to do is get this filled up towards the top. A little bit more, there we go. I'll use the rest of that later on for some of my soup. Now the next thing we're going to do, and I don't use any measuring spoons for this, we're going to throw in some salt. And I guesstimate it's probably about 2 tablespoons, maybe a little bit more. Throw that down there. Now let's open up our pepper. We're going to put in a little bit of pepper in there, about the same amount. Set that off. Now, come on over and let me show you what it looks like. Well, after we got everything together, let's go ahead and stir this up a little bit. I've already got the crock pot set on high, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get these things going here, and we're going to have it on high for about 1 hour so they can start the process. Now, let's get this lid on here. After about 1 hour, afterwards, we're going to go ahead and turn it down to low, and we're going to cook it for about another 5, maybe 6 hours at most. And then we'll take it off, and we'll take out those onions. We'll go ahead and start trimming up a little bit of that gristle. That way there we can get in our pressure canning jars. All of our turkey gizzards that we've been doing, that's been in the crock pot, it's done. Now I didn't figure that you need to watch me slice this up, so let me show you what we've got. Now these are the size chunks that we need. See how thick they are? We got them in our bowl. Now it's time to get them into our quart-sized jars and get them ready for the pressure canner. So what I've done, I've got this jar here ready. Let me move this off to the side so you can see what I'm doing. Now what I'm going to do, we've got our onions. We're going to just take a handful of these things. Let's throw it in there. Then I'm going to take them, and I don't measure these things because I figure I know how much it's got to be done, but you can kind of get an idea just by grabbing a handful. And we're going to layer these things. And put a little bit more turkey in there. Now, after we get about this point here, what we're going to do, we're going to take one of these bouillon cubes and we're going to toss it in there. Even though this turkey has been in the crock pot for several hours, and it makes it nice and toasty. Now, let me get a little bit more of this onion. Throw that in there. Then a little bit more turkey. And yes, I got my gloves on, so I don't have to use something there to shove it down with. A little bit more onion. A little bit more turkey gizzard. Now let's mash that down. The next thing we did, you remember all that juice that from the chicken broth that we were cooking all that turkey gizzard in? Let's go ahead and get this rocking and rolling. So let's go ahead and dip this measuring cup down in here. Throw it in that. Just a little bit more. Because here's what we don't want to do is, we don't want to go ahead and have it all the way to the top, but we want it about 1 finger from the top on that last ring. Ooh, you know what? I almost forgot something. Let me get my thing, because in the pressure cooker, we're gonna need to go ahead and get them air bubbles out of there. So give me a moment. Got my little spatula here. Let's get these air pockets out of there, because we want to go ahead and have a nice tight seal on this thing as it's going along. Now you have to understand something here. When you're doing certain types of meat, especially with the turkey gizzards, it's already been cooking for several hours. And we're going to be putting the pressure canner, it's going to cook up even more. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a paper towel, because we want a nice tight seal going around this thing. That way when it comes out, after about 5 or 10 minutes, you're going to hear this pop noise. Let me grab one of these lids, and yes, they've all been sterilized. Let's put this on here. This is what we're looking at. That's going to be some good stuff for gravy, soups, or whatever. Throw that in there. Maybe 1 or 2 more pieces. Some more onion. Then we're going to go ahead and take another one of these little bouillon cubes. Throw that in there. And we're going to layer it again with some more turkey gizzards. There we go, that should be enough. And then some more onion. And some more turkey gizzards. You can't have enough turkey gizzards, because you want to have it last you for a while. And the last thing, one last layer of onion. Now let's go ahead and get our juice going. Okay, now let's get our spatula going, get them air bubbles out of there. That should be good. Let's set that over here. Now, after we've got that in there, let's wipe that top down again and get that lid going. Now we got a few more jugs that we're gonna have to be doing here. I don't expect you folks want to watch me do every single one of them, so watch what I'm doing here. I'm cranking that down, but not enough like a wheel on the vehicle, but enough to keep that pressure going. We still got about 4 more quarts of turkey gizzards that we've got to put into the jars and stuff. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and start getting these ready to get them into the pressure cooker. Now I've been warming this up. It's on high heat. We've got about 3 fingers, or actually 3 inches worth of water in there. I threw in some vinegar in there because when my jugs are in there, I want them to come out looking clean, and without that vinegar, they come out looking milky. Now, what we've done, I went ahead and got this thing already prepped up and stuff beforehand. Now let's go ahead and put the last few jugs in here. This thing here, it'll only hold about 7 quarts, but that's all right. That's enough for me and my family for right now. Let's go ahead and get these in here. Get that in there. Now let's go ahead and put this top on. And normally I'll use my jar grabber, but you know what, those weren't all that hot. Let me get this on here. There we go. Let's clamp this on. Now what we're going to do is let this rise to a steam pressure of about no more than 240 pounds. Once that happens, we're going to go ahead and put on, you know, our countersink, and we're going to let it sit for about 75 minutes and take that back off. The nice thing I like about canning with my meats, my fruits, my vegetables, guess what? It's going to last on my shelf without refrigeration for anywhere from 3, 4, and I've even heard of 5 years sitting there. I don't have to use my freezer space for this. All we have to do is take it out, pop off that lid, warm it up, and by golly, she's good. So she's been a long day of cooking, and our pressure canner is working equally as hard. What we've now done, we let it get everything going for about 10 minutes. Now it's time to put our pressure weight on this thing, because yep, I can feel that steam coming right out of there. And can you hear that? If I can get the darn thing on there. Now that's going to spin around every few seconds, and we've got it on high. Now what I'm going to do, I have my little timer here. We're going to cook this stuff in the pressure cooker for about 75 minutes. So since this is only a 1-hour timer, we're going to have to kind of keep an eye on this thing. There we go. Do you hear the sound of this? I'll tell you what, she's been in there for about 75 or 80 minutes. Now I want you to perk up your ears a little bit and listen to this as I take this thing off. Whew! Boy, I'll tell you what, that's letting some pressure out of there now. In about 10 minutes, I want you to take a look over here. Nene, come on over here and take a look at the pressure there. And watch how quickly that goes down as that steam escapes. Now in about 10 minutes we're going to be back, because it'll be back down to 0. And I can finally release this lid, take them jugs out, and put them out there, and I'll show you what we got. After we took off that pressure weight, I tell you what, all that steam is pretty much done. But my wife, she likes to have me take these things, take the lid off, because she knows I'm going to burn myself. So let's go ahead and pop these things off.
Yeah. Oh yeah, ready up.
Okay, I better get the other pot holder. Ooh, look at that steam rising up out of there. We know it's done. Look at that. You can see they're still bubbling. They're still cooking. There are going to be some tasty victuals when you put them into your soups. When you put them into your gravy, you're going to put them into a lot of different things. Now, if you like what we've done today, I guarantee you're going to love it if you try it. Now, this pressurized, ooh, my finger burned on me on that one. It's still hot. But you're going to love these things, because you can put them in, as I've always mentioned before, your soups, your stews. You can put them in your gravies and stuff, because let's face it, you can only get these things at a certain time of the year. However, what I'd like you to do, if you want to go ahead and learn more of my recipes, go ahead and I invite you to go down to the subscribe button. Hit that. Go ahead and follow us on social media. Hit the like button as well. In the meantime, Cowboy Vittles, come and get 'em.